Alright, we're going blind into Jirachee versus reyscarface. We have a Rayquaza lead against a Groudon lead. Groudon lead you don't see too much traditionally because, and even now, because it gives up 2 layers to DOS with or without the sash. And it's not guaranteed to get up its own rocks, especially with bulky DOS being able to taunt it and still get up rocks and spikes. But it's if there was a time to use it, it might be now. And I went over this in a video a while ago called 6 Tournament Battles, where Solwyn brought it, and I went over some rationale there. But thinking about it now, I also kind of dig it because you underspeed lead Kyogre and get up rocks on it, and you underspeed lead Kyogre meaning you get up Sun because it sets up rain first because of the order in which abilities activate. So that's another plus in its favor. So go check out that video if you want more details on it. And Ray just slams away. And its Draco Meteor is going to sting less if it's a lead Ray, because it's probably going to be Sash or Lum, as opposed to Life Orb. And Groudon tends to run Spadef, so it's not going to bounce off, but not going to do 70 to 80 or something. And it's got Outrage after, but generally you feel pretty safe. In October 2021 if you are leading Groudon and you face a lead Ray. So, there's a Dragon Dance. Alright, now that is unexpected. Now, I don't know if this is going to be Sash or what. So, there's a lot of things Groudon can do. It could just roar no matter what and be fine. It could T-Wave, but that would all be for nothing if this turns out to be Lum. And, either way, this Outrage is going to hit hard, but if it's Life Orb, then yikes. And if it's Dragon Claw or Stone Edge, then neither are quite going to KO. Although Life Orb would help push Stone Edge in that direction. Stone Edge might be likelier from, especially if Groudon's leading off now, with how common lead Ho-Oh has become. So I would not be surprised to see that. So anyway, DD, Rocks, Outrage, how much is it going to do? Not a lot. That's a physically defensive Groudon. That is some traditional lead Groudon. That used to be like an old stall staple. And it roars in Kyogre. Is this going to... So that's looking like DD or Sash. No Life Orb there, which makes sense if you're going to be slotting it in the lead position. Is this... Yes, continue watching, please. Alright, so here comes Kyogre. What's the answer going to be? Blissey. We're seeing some stall. There's Calm Mind. Now, Jirachee, several years ago, invented / popularized his patented Super Ogre, which was Calm Mind, 3 attacks with Lumberry. And one of the best things about it was that it was an offensive Calm Mind Kyogre that Blissey couldn't stop. And unlike Sub-Calm Mind Kyogre, well, I guess Sub-Calm Mind isn't like super offensive, but it's still more offensively minded than something like Calm Mind Rest. And Sub-Calm Mind gives up on coverage, and it has to be very careful with not getting status or anything. And it, yeah. So, and giving up coverage is the main thing. Whereas this... and it gives up EVs because it has to run max HP. Whereas this Kyogre is just fast and strong, doesn't care about status because of Lum, and it has all the coverage it wants. So he's not ready to do it yet, though, as he switches to Bronzong on... And here comes Fortress, so Ray's definitely busting out some stall. And here comes the Garchomp before the T-Spikes go down. So, yeah, there's SD, and there's a Spin. Uh-oh, and if there's a Lugia, then that's... oh, Tina. Oh, that's an interesting Aqua Tail. Okay. Well, I guess if he's sacking something to get Lugia in on the +2 thing, since he wanted to get the Spin off, that's one thing. But, yeah. The Kyogre thing, I was saying, it definitely works better if Blissey's taking damage as it switches in, like from Rocks and Spikes, just to really push it into Hydro to a KO range. But yeah, so here comes Tina O, which is going to, sneak for a little bit of damage, and Dragon Claw goes down. So with... Alright, so it's Scarf Palkia, so it's not the super hard old kind of stall. It's just, have your core and then have your offensive guys come in. So the Scarf Palkia is going to be annoying, with especially with the... Oh, there's Haben, and it's Spadef, and it lives. Alright, so I was personally thinking, is this going to be Lum and come back in? That's really cool. First of all, PSA, another reason to run Draco Meteor on your Scarf Palkias. The damage is huge. But also, I'm generally not a fan of Haben on SD Chomp because it requires so much SPDF to live like Dialga from full. But I mean that spatial rend there, or like other Garchomps as well. But that is a perfect example of how devastating it can be. So you have to take out of attack, but that's as game changing as it gets. So here. Here, Fori comes in, takes the +2 EQ and paybacks to finish it off. But now, what's scary is that Rayquaza is going to DD again, and Groudon, well, it's going to live, but it's not going to take it too well. And if all it's going to do is roar, then Ray can just do this a third time later on. So, oh, and it crits. Yikes. And Fori is not going to be able to take that. And here comes Ho-Oh. So, nice. Some Ho-Oh Sunstall going on. Ooh, double crit. Well, that was... That quickly took a turn. Here comes Protect. Are we going to see the Lum? Well, I mean, Ray can just switch out and come back in later. Yeah, looks... Oh, and hits itself. I think that's definitely fair enough. Oh, Blissey just dropped. That was satisfying. I just want to calc, see how much it was doing to Ray. The double set of Dragon Assault is really, really brutal, isn't it? Quasar, DD... So, +2. Oh, why did I do +2? It should be +1. So, yeah, assume Jolly. Well, against 0 to... God, that does so much. I always underestimate Ray, which I know I shouldn't. So, if it's not physical defense, then I had a chance to KO, even if it's Jolly. And it's probably going to be Jolly, because... Actually, no, DD Ray has to... Adamant Ray... SD Ray can be Adamant, because it's E-speeding stuff. But SD... Even though Jolly is still good, so you don't get outrun by +speed Tina O, which is embarrassing. But... DD has to be Jolly because getting outrun by Scarf Dialga is stupid. So, yeah, it definitely feels like a Sash thing. So that could have still KO'd Ho, but we don't know the spread. And actually, we don't know the spread against Groudon either because physically defensive... I mean, it did how much the first time around? 54 against max defense. And the first time around, it did 52. So who knows if it was max... It probably was, so... Who knows? But it could have still DD'd again later, which we were already getting at. We don't know what's coming in after either, and that's a forfeit. So Ray goes down to the Ray. That's not funny because of the crits making. We don't know what was happening in the back, but this is a good example of a team being really very difficult to stop with just sheer bulldozing power. So. Alright, game 2. What's the lead matchup? Dio Speed, Dio Speed. Well, we don't know what mixture of Trick Scarf or Shadow Ball or Max Speed taunts these guys are going to have, so let's, if you've been following the channel at this point, then you know what these are capable of and what these matchups can be like, so let's see. There's the faster taunt, and there's the taunted taunt. So now here comes Ray on the rocks. Here comes the E-Speed doing a lot of damage. That banded? Nice. And T-Wave, you don't see that very often. And DOS into Lugia. Nice. So that's a nice double switch. Okay, so to reiterate what happened there, rocks on the Ray were obvious, and then I think the reason for E-Speed there, especially if banded, was maybe if it's banned. Maybe if it's max speed, then it might not have a lot of bulk, or as much bulk. Especially if it's running that old classic set with like Signal Beam or Shadow Ball and E-Speed or something, and it would run attack investment. Then if Ray's going old school, which I mean he was in the first game with that physically defensive Groudon Fortress Blissey stall team, then it's very possible that he's running an old school DOS. And the advantage of E-Speed there. Well, I guess it's not really an advantage over Dragon Claw in that regard. So, I don't know. That's maybe he doesn't have Dragon Claw and he didn't want to lock in anything else. Because if it's like Outrage, E-Speed, Aqua Tail, because you can Aqua Tail Groudon and Sun, which is really cool with Ray, Brick Break or Earthquake, something like that. So I don't know. But either way, it's kind of the same difference thing. And if he had Dragon Claw, it was probably better, because then you bring DOS down to the Sash, and you guarantee you take it out. And if it switches out, then it'll die to rocks next time or something. But I'm probably overthinking this one a little. And the T-Wave is interesting because it ensures that Ray could not start DDing. I mean, Taunt did that, but T-Wave also did that while crippling non-DD forms of Rayquaza, or non-setup forms of Rayquaza. So that was a smart move. And you don't see T-Wave too often on Taunt, Rocks, Spikes, DOS. And so, yeah, nice move there. I guess... No, wait. Well, I missed the totally obvious part of E-Speed. E-Speed forces... prevents DOS from getting 2 turns on the Ray. Duh. I don't know how I missed that. But I did, because I've narrated like 3 series. This is the 4th series in a row I'm doing, I think. It might have been 5th. I don't know at this point. Yeah, so that's that. So the T-Wave is smart. The E-Speed was smart. And, yeah, it's interesting that he went for... Well, it's interesting that he has Lugia, because Lugia is generally relegated defensive stuff, and even Calm Mind Lugia is not exactly an offensive juggernaut, so it's not common that you see it on DOS Hyper Offense. I've messed around with it. It can be very efficient, because sometimes offense is the problem of, oh, I can't handle this Scarf Garchomp because all my Pokemon are offensive and can get O-Code by it, and Lugia can really turn the tables nicely. So I was trying that in the last couple of weeks of the ladder, and it's cool to see that... someone else has had this idea as well, because I assume it's Calm Mind anyway. I assume it's not Wall Lugia. Anyway, that was a great double switch, by the way, from Jirachee, getting his DOS back in, knowing that Ray's DOS was being chased out into something like Tina O. Then at least he guarantees he gets up his own rocks with Deoxys. So that was a great double switch. And now Ray goes back to his own DOS, knowing it's a speed tie at worst, and he spikes. And assuming that Jirachee was going to switch again, or just wanting spikes, and now Jirachee gets his taunt off, so now he's going to get the spikes as Ray switches. And in comes a Darkrai. So is this going to be Scarf with Dark Void, Dark Pulse, or is he just going to try and take this thing out? And if he's not Scarf and can't threaten in those ways, I mean, those ways could also be neutered by Lum or Colbert, but, you know, remains to be seen. And is the last move on DOS, Superpower or T-Wave? Both would be ruinous to Darkrai. It's E-Speed, and he was just looking for the Scarf there. So now, and he shows Life Orb. Okay, I was going to say, if it doesn't show Life Orb, then he's obligated to go to a Scarfer, because otherwise he doesn't know it's not Scarf. So there's the Orb, and here comes the Jirachee. That would have been a good pick. So now he's just going to Iron Head or U-Turn. Both would be fine. Iron Head keeps momentum, and U-Turn, U-Turn keeps momentum, and Iron Head chunk stuff. But I was assuming that the DOS was going to be sacked there, but the Garchomp's a good pick because it forces Jirachee to reveal... That's a really good move, actually. I like that move a lot. It forces Jirachee to reveal something else and preserves the DOS sack. Whereas if you just sack the DOS... then, I mean, yeah, you get Garchomp in for free, but, the health on Chomp can be kind of, not as important, because it's going to drop to Draco, whether it's at 100 or 2. So that was a really smart move to get more out of the DOS sack, and, yeah. So here comes Kyogre. That being revealed is helpful. So no lefties on the Kyogre? Nope, no lefties. So we don't know Scarf, Calm Mind, Specs, whatever. So now we see Surf, so that reveals nothing. I mean, I guess it's less likely that it's offensive Calm Mind now, because that would more likely run Hydro, but I mean, not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination. So now in comes Ray's own Kyogre, so Specs, Scarf, well, Jirachee running max speed Kyogre, or a fast Kyogre, as he loves to do, so yeah, definitely not the choiced variant that you, I mean, I think I was biased into thinking it was Calm Mind 3 attacks because of Jirachee's history with the Pokemon, popularizing it and all. But then there's also the fact that it could very easily be Surf, Ice Beam, Thunder, Thunder Wave, which is more you don't see Hydro Thunder Wave. I know we saw it in the Steel Jackal series, or Steel Skitty series, but Surf is definitely the default there. So it's very possible that it's that. But the speed on the Kyogre, I mean, other players have used as well, but Jirachee really made that, on the non-Specs Kyogre, rather, the all-out offensive set, then that really was what he was known for. And his Thunder does not quite KO after Rocks and Spikes, while Ray's does. So let's pull out those damage calcs, because I'm thinking we might have specs, although it's been a while since I calced Thunder versus Thunder. Okay, yeah, Ray either is, well, I guess he could be modest. Yeah, so Ray either max rolled timid, is modest and got a high roll, or is specs. So, one of those. So he goes to, so now Jirachee goes to Latios, so this is, Garchomp is really threatening with Scarf. Darkrai is threatening, but at the very least, Latios is gonna take out the Kyogre. But that's not the problem. The problem is the Darkrai coming here, or the Garchomp still hanging around in the back. So he's got to be real careful about how he. I guess what's funny is that actually the paired Rayquaza is now a makeshift Darkrai check, because it can take a Life Orb Dark Pulse, and it E-speeds, and it would obviously block Dark Void, and so that worked out really well. The T-Wave, actually. And now Lucario, that's dangerous, because that's getting a setup, and Scarf Jirachee is not going to be able to check it, because this is not OU, so Scarf Jirachee does not tend to run Fire Punch as much, and it's in rain anyway, so unless he's got like a fast Tina O or something, but he just goes right for the E-speed and doesn't set up. And I assumed Choice Band because, but now I'm thinking I should have calced that, because Ray would know. I'm thinking the only way he wouldn't SD there is if he knew it wasn't banned. Okay, yeah, E-Speed versus Zero Bulk is doing, well, not E-Speed versus non-Zero Bulk. Okay, no, that had to be banded. Like, in what universe is that not banned? Yeah, that's, so I don't know why he didn't. Yeah, okay, so that is banned Rayquaza. And how much is banned E-Speed doing to Luke? I guess he didn't want to take yeah, okay, that kind of does a lot. Because, look, banned E-Speed does 38 to 45, roughly. And then he's at 85. So let's just split it in the middle and call it 40. So he's going to go down to 45. And then he's going to take Life Orb for finishing the Ray off. And he's going to go down to, what, 35? Am I keeping up? Yeah. So he's going to go down to 35, and then he might not actually be able to get that sweep off. So he wanted to keep it healthier. But the problem is that now, Latios comes in and drops a Thunder, and, well, the E-Speed doesn't really do anything because Garchomp was going to KO it anyway. But I guess it makes it easier for any Draco is a good move. Make sure Garchomp doesn't pivot it on a Thunder. That would be a dumb way to die to it. So, I guess now Lugia, if it's Calm Mind, then it can finish off Latios from lower health if it's forced out, but yeah. So, and the Calm Mind Lugia, well, the -2 is going to be helpful, but the problem is that Jirachee can trick, and but then again, Garchomp can absorb that, and now Jirachee reveals his last, so this is a very offensive team with the Darkrai, and it has Whirlwind! Oh my goodness, it is a Walugia. Please let it be Whirlwind, Roar, Rest Talk. I love that set so much. Well, now here comes the... And it's Ice Beam. Okay, so he's chipping the... Alright, yeah, this is what he's going for. He's trying to chip the Jirachee into Outrage range for Garchomp. So, and, so I guess the solution is just to go to sacrifice Latios, or right to Darkrai. Yeah, because even if it Whirlwinds, then there's a 50% that it Whirlwinds into Latios, and Latios will drop Lugia from that range. And so that was a really nice comeback attempt from Ray, because Garchomp versus Jirachee is going to be doing... That was a really smart Ice Beam, by the way. I really, really like that Ice Beam. Okay, so, you still had some work to do, but with hazards, then, for it to do 28 to, call it 29 to 34. So, yeah, Thunder finishes it off, doesn't go for the Draco. And, that would have been a crazy pivot to Chomp. But, yeah, now he's got to hope for an Outrage crit. But, yeah, so that was a nice comeback attempt. But Darkrai really would have shut that whole business down. And, yeah, and that was a good move that he went to Darkrai, because if he sacks Latios, then Earthquake cleans up. I always get tricked into thinking dark eyes levitate just when I'm not thinking actively about it. Because obviously Bad Dreams is a big part of what makes it so good, but I always have to second guess and go, oh yeah, EQ hits that because, it levitates. Anyway, so that was a smart move for him to go to Darkrai rather than Latios. So he was way more in the game than I was. So yeah, now Outrage does not KO, not get the crit, and Ice Punch finishes it off. So that's going to be that series. That was short, sweet, aggressive, and unique. The Whirlwind Lugia, I mean, that's a good way of patching up some weaknesses, and you turn it into an offensive threat even. So, and I mean, the Ray in this series, good lord, what a monster. So yeah, now we're going to do my usual padding the length of this one. So I'm just scrolling through some movies. Oh, okay, I'm going to recommend something obscure in this one because I haven't recommended anything too obscure yet. I'm going to recommend an old Czech movie called The Mysterious Castle in the Carpathians. Now, I personally was going in expecting some sort of creepy, off-kilter horror movie, where some guy goes into a castle in the Carpathians in the Middle Ages, and he's like, oh no, it's spooky here. And instead, what I got was something absolutely hilarious, and it's put it this way: he goes to this castle, and it's like the year 1402 or something. I don't remember exactly. So and there's just a guy there who just happens to have 20th century video recording technology. It's never explained. There's no dumb scene where he goes, "Oh, what is this? Futuristic technology." And it's just like, yeah, it's 1476, and this guy just has it. Don't worry about it. And it's a wonderful time throughout. It's wacky. Oh yeah, and I forgot about this until now. The main character is this very very arrogant opera singer, and he's in love with his own voice and in love with the fact that he's an opera singer. But it has some concrete results because he uses his opera singing powers as a weapon, and that's how he defeats his enemies. So, yeah, I recommend The Mysterious Castle in the Carpathians. What else can I recommend? I saw Streets of Fire semi-recently. That had a great opening. I wasn't crazy about the whole thing, but if you're into those biker counterculture movies from the 70s and 80s, then you might be into that. What I can suggest for anyone who enjoys Brad Pitt, I'm told that there's a fair few of those. I was reminded of this because I watched World War Z recently, and it was alright. I wasn't crazy about it. I thought the first half was way better than the second. But it reminded me of my favorite Brad Pitt movie, which is The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. And for those who don't know, because it is a very American thing, Jesse James was the most famous American outlaw. And if his name sounds familiar, it is because Jesse and James from Team Rocket were in fact named after Jesse James. Kind of like how Butch and Cassidy were named after Butch Cassidy. Yeah, I learned some interesting facts about their name origins when I was 6 years old in my little Pokemon guidebook. Anyway, so, what was I saying? Yeah, so Assassination of Jesse James. Pitt plays Jesse James. It's slow and just redolent with this whole feeling of aging. And I mean, this was a different time, so I mean, he's 35 and he's considered old. But I mean, back then, I mean, that was just how you felt. So anyway, he's old and he's the fastest gun in the West, and Robert Ford comes along and he's this great admirer of him, played by a terrific Affleck's kid brother, Casey Affleck. He's tremendous as Robert Ford. Great cast in general. And it's just got this very slow, somber atmosphere throughout. It's a slow burner, and I just can't get enough of it. It is tremendously shot. And, yeah, honestly, I heard that there was a longer cut of it somewhere, and honestly, I would really, really like to have seen it. And also in the previous video, then I mentioned that I really liked the original Suspiria that Edgar Wright's new movie is inspired by, and I just realized that I didn't mention the remake of Suspiria from 2018. I was not a fan of that one. Yeah, I just don't think it justified itself very well. I mean, I was open to the concept, of course, because it's a great movie, and it seemed like it was gone into with the best of intentions. You know, it's not exactly a cash grab or anything, but I think it kind of overshot itself. And finally, this is not, the most serious of recommendations, but if you're a Hot Fuzz fanatic like I am, then I recommend looking up on YouTube The Fuzzball Rally, which is a documentary made by the Hot Fuzz's guy's friend, Joe Cornish. And it's basically documenting Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost as they go on their U.S. press tour promoting Hot Fuzz. And it's a great comfort to see that such professional, intelligent adults can be so unbelievably immature. It's a thing of beauty. Highly, highly recommend it. The thing they do to those birthday cakes is just wonderful. Anyway, so I hope I have padded this thing enough to not have given away the fact that there are only 2 games by the length. I'll give a couple more. Oh, I love this one. There's Children of Men is a great movie. That one's not really obscure. If you haven't seen it, I recommend that one. It's if you've ever played The Last of Us, then Children of Men is what inspired the daylights out of it. It's very, very clear. But there's another movie that the lead guy, Clive Owen, did in the same year, and funnily enough, kind of has a similar premise. He helped deliver a baby. It's called Shoot 'Em Up, and that is exactly what it is. And now you hear about all these movies like, oh, it's a non-stop action thrill ride from beginning to end. It never lets up, never lets off the pedal, and then you watch it, and there are like 16 scenes of exposition and people sitting around not doing anything. It's like, really? This is the non-stop adrenaline thrill ride I was promised? Shoot 'Em Up is like if that promise was actually delivered on. Oh, I loved it. It's fantastic. And it's ridiculous. It does not take itself seriously. It's very smart, I do think, in its whole gun obsession USA kind of deal. But it's so... Just to give you an idea... in the opening, shooting scene, of which there are many, then Clive Owen delivers this woman's baby. He's barely met her, and he cuts the umbilical cord by shooting it, and that's just a taste of what's to come. And God, that guy should have been in more movies. He's so great. He delivers some. I think the tough guy one-liner is kind of a lost art. I mean, the quips we have in the Marvel stuff nowadays just isn't the same. It's always like, whoa, that was crazy, right? Oh my God, we're fighting this guy. And none of the classic Schwarzenegger, Stallone styles. And Shoot 'Em Up, then Clive Owen really satiates my thirst for this lost art. So yeah. All right, I think I've padded this thing enough, and you have your recommendations from this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.